when actors play a role in a script to make a movie, none of that's real. Everything in heaven is almost as if it's staged by God. It's God doing it all in heaven. But on earth, the mitzvah is called on our name. It's our mitzvah. It's our accomplishment. It's our Torah. Because it comes through the work and the sacrifice that we give and invest into it. Alita lamarom, which translates, you have ascended upon high. Shavita shevi, and you have captured what had been held captive. Lakachta matanot ba'adam, you have taken gifts for man. Ve'af sorerin lishka kel elokim, that even rebels may dwell with God. Alita lamarom, you went up to the highest of heights. This is a reference to Moshe Rabbeinu's ascent onto Mount Sinai. Let's appreciate, when Moshe Rabbeinu went on Mount Sinai, this was considered, according to Mefarshim, that Moshe Rabbeinu went into heaven, or went up to heaven. So let's just be a bit precise. Really, heaven came down to the top of Mount Sinai, and Moshe went up to the top of Har Sinai, and over there Moshe met with the heavenly hosts, and of course God is also there on whatever level of a relation this means, and there's a whole discussion up there. So the Har Sinai became a place where heaven was, and that's what it means that Moshe went up to Har Sinai. It means he went up to heaven. Okay? Now, the next part of the verse says that he captured what was being held captive. Right? Shavita, Shevi. Right? What is that? What did Moshe Rabbeinu capture from the angels on Har Sinai? What did he get? What did he have to take from them that they were holding and didn't want to give it to him? The Torah. It's a famous midrash that the angel said to Hashem, "What do you want to give the Torah to? Basar vadam, flesh and blood, putrid, yilud isha. What is this human being? And first of all, what is a human being doing up here in this heavenly realm? We're angels here. It's perfect. It's beautiful. It's unbelievable, sublime, spiritual level. Why is Moshe here in the first place? And why do you want to give him this Torah that you have for so many thousands and thousands of years? Give us your Torah. We will keep it and fulfill it. And your glory will be expressed through us. Give us your glory." So obviously, what are they arguing? Why do they want it? Why don't they want to give it to Moshe? There's a lot happening over here. But be it as it may, what comes out is that he had to, according to the verse, Shavita Shevi, he had to capture that which the angels were holding in captivity from him. Okay? Now, the next part is that he took gifts for mankind, because we know ultimately when God gave us a Torah, so it says that he gave us many mitzvot, right? Rabbi Hanan ben Ekasha Omer, Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'zakot et Yisrael, that he wanted to give Yisrael a lot of zechut. So he gave us a lot of mitzvot. But let's be honest, at the end of the day, who are those mitzvot for? Who are those mitzvot for? They're there to help us. Like Rabbi Meir says, does God care whether you shecht an animal from the neck? How does it affect Hashem if you eat milk and meat, not eat milk and meat? The answer is that all of the mitzvot are for us to have zechut and for us to be mitzaref, to mitaken and mizakech our nefesh, our guf, our neshama. It's meant to purify and exalt us, to elevate us. That's what Torah is for. So ultimately, it's our gift. Torah is our gift. The mitzvot that we may seem and feel like are a burden sometimes, the mitzvot, they're our gift. We benefit. The Torah is for us. It makes us better. It makes us more purified and exalted. This is connected to a statement from Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says that there's a special day called the holiday of Shavuot. The high Yom HaKagar Garam, that this day made me into something special. Because if it would not be for Matan Torah, what would I be? I would just be, and I'm going to speak in English and paraphrase, I would just be another Joe in the market, another Joe in the flea market. I know a Joe that works in the flea market. I could have been another Joe that worked in the flea market. What's the difference between a Stam Joe that works in the flea market and Rabbi Yosef, which is the English translation is Joe? Rabbi Joe. This holy sage, Rabbi Yossi, what's the difference between these two entities? Because he says, Lamati Torah vehitromamti. I learned Torah and I became exalted, because Torah changes you. Torah changes your mitziut. Torah changes what you are into an unbelievably exalted being. Now, that's what Torah is. And so therefore, when Moshe went to Har Sinai and was successful in taking the Torah and bringing it down to us, it was unbelievable, because now we had what we needed to become exalted, to become angelic, to be even greater than angels. So now let's look at the end of the verse. It says that even among rebels God will dwell. This is a very difficult pasuk. What does it mean that God will dwell with rebels? It should say that rebels will be in Gehenna. What do you mean God will be with the rebels? God should be with the tzaddikim and with the rebels and the criminals and people that go against him. They should be in Gehenna. So what does it mean that God will dwell even amongst rebels? So it means that God will dwell among human beings that have both good and negative inclinations, that could rebel, but he still gave us a Torah that is an ability for us to connect with Hashem's Ratzon, Hashem's divine will and divine wisdom, and have a connection with him, that he can dwell with us. He built a Mishkan where he dwells in among us. So even though we sometimes behave, sometimes misbehave, God still chose to dwell with us with this potential to rebel, as opposed to the angels, because he gave us the Torah and he decided to have his Shekhinah, this divine presence, rest in the lower world, not just in the higher heavenly realms. Exactly the opposite of what the angels were suggesting, and were ultimately, asking him and telling him that give us your glory, leave the Torah with us, dwell with us in heaven. Forget these human beings. They're rebels. They have an evil inclination. They're made out of physical, born from a woman. They're putrid. They're nothing. They can't compare to the beauty and glory and refinement of angels. And that's the debate between Moshe and the angels. When I speak about Torah, right? When we speak about Torah that existed for thousands of years up somewhere in the heavens, right? It's Hashem's Torah. Before he even made a physical world, there was a Torah. So where would you think the Torah would be at home? Where is the home of the Torah? I would think the Torah was at home with God above in heaven. What would you think? What would you think? Wasn't the Torah at home with Hashem in heaven?
Depends on what you understand the Torah essence or close to essence is.
Okay, fine. We're going to explore. So that's what I want to get at, because it says in the verse that Moshe had to capture that which was being held in captivity. Now, unfortunately, we all know too well today what it means to be held captive. You're not at home when you're being held captive. When you're in jail, when you're being held as a prisoner, you're not at all at home. You're out of your element, and you're trapped. And the Torah is saying through this pasuk that Moshe came in and had to take that which was being held and trapped in heaven with the angels, and he had to fight for it and grab it and conquer them and take the Torah for us, for mankind. Why and how is the Torah being described as trapped in some type of prison state in heaven where it came from? That's question number one. Okay, everybody here appreciate? Okay. Question number two, we really said, we'll just repeat it again. How can the Torah, how can the verse, so to speak, flaunt at the fact that rebels are going to be with Hashem rather than in Gehenna? Rebels should be in hell, suffering for their rebellion and for their rebellious nature. And tzaddikim should be with Hashem in heaven, wherever. And the pasuk certainly shouldn't flaunt that, guess what? Even the rebels, even those that went against God, even those that betray God, Hashem is going to be with them also. Then what's schar and onesh? If whether you behave or don't behave, God's with all of us, then why behave? Again, obviously this is the question stage. That we'll hear the answers in a minute. So, and also we want to appreciate right now, what was the nature of this argument that the angels were trying to keep the Torah and instead of letting Moshe take it? Why did they want to have a hold on it? They had an assumption that they can fulfill it better than us somehow. So what I want to give you guys now is a story. It's for the sake of this class, since it's a teacher training class, so I feel it's important that I mention that this story is a made-up story. It's not one of those rabbinic mashalim, unless you'll call a story that I made up a rabbinic mashal. Sounds fancy, but here is the story. Okay, you'll see from the way it goes, it's not one of those classic old rabbinic stories. But it goes like this. Imagine there were these two kings. It does have the two kings, like any good story has to have from the olden days. Two kings, friendly kings. They conversate, they interact, and one of the occasions they're like, they're getting into this debate: which king is better? Who's a more powerful king? Whose king's country has a better country, a stronger country? Who's the better king? Who's got the greater kingdom? So they're like, listen, we can talk all day. How about this? You come visit me and I'll show you my kingdom, and I'll come and visit you and see your kingdom. And in the end, we will honestly, as two great honest kings, we will decide and agree who has the greater kingdom. So the second agrees. So they go to the first kingdom. He takes them to the palace in the capital city. And as they're approaching, it's awesome and beautiful and glorious with soldiers, and everything's beautiful. And when you get into the actual palace, it's unbelievable. And you see the army of the king and the soldiers, and how there's a feeling of awe everywhere you go of this great king. And the king, of course, proud of his kingdom and what he's able to accomplish, feels like, this is going to be hard to top. So they leave that kingdom, and one of them is very satisfied. The other one says, okay, no problem, very quiet, very calm. Come with me now, we'll go to my kingdom. And they go, he's like, but while they're on the way, he says, do me a favor, please, indulge me. Instead of taking you to my capital city and showing you that city and my palace, I'd like to take you instead to one of the outskirts of my country, like in the north, to a small town there. It's a very small town, very far away from the capital and my palace. So the king is thinking to himself, what is going to be so impressive so far away from where the king lives? But okay, we'll go. So they get there, and it's, towards evening. They say, you know what? Do me a favor. Let's ride around this town through the night with me, without letting them know who we are. We're in this carriage. Nobody knows who's in it. Let's just watch and observe what kind of town it is at night. So they drive around the town late afternoon and night, and they're watching and everything. And dawn is approaching. And right around then, the first king, whose town we visited at first, he just shouts out. He says, I swear by my life, your kingdom is greater than mine. He had to admit the truth. He said, any kingdom that the people follow the rules of the king at night, so far away from where the king is, where he never shows his face, is a greater kingdom than mine. Because everybody understands that in order to have people that listen to you, so it's not a big chidush. It's not such a big deal that if you're standing there with your army, that people listen. Go where your army doesn't go. Go where you never show up. And people have the real freedom to do what they want. Smuggle in things, contraband, do whatever you want. They're not coming on a daily basis. They might come once or twice a year to check me. So I can do what I want. And they still listen to the king. What a powerful king. What an unbelievably beloved, cherished, powerful, feared king that is. So the kingdom that was greater was the one where obviously that they listened to the king far away. This will help us appreciate the dialogue between the angels and Moshe, and why in the end Moshe won that argument, and why the angels agreed to give Moshe the Torah. Ultimately, the greatest glory and honor for God, and how awesome Hashem is, and how beloved He is, and how powerful He is, and how feared He is, and how revered He is, and how unbelievable He is that He takes care of His nation. It's not in heaven where His presence is so powerful and so revealed. It's like the King is always there. Of course heaven is going to be perfect and beautiful, and angels are going to be so spiritual, because they're in front of Hashem every minute, every second. But go to earth, where Hashem created a dark world. The earth was created through a manner of concealment. Heaven is revealed. Everything's revealed in heaven. On earth, it's concealed. Give them a physical body with a lot of different addictions that they're naturally born with. A coarse body, physical needs, an evil inclination, their own desires. Give them all of that, plus freedom, because again, God's presence is not felt or seen in the world. It's as if people are so crazy to even believe that there is no God. So imagine such a situation like that, where you have all the freedom in the world to do whatever you want, and you're never going to get caught. Okay, so now we're going to answer this final question. That God dwells even among rebels is this: by giving us a Yetzer Hara, by concealing his presence from us, allowing us to feel as if we exist all by ourselves without anyone watching, anyone keeping track of what we do, and we can live any type of life we want. With all of that freedom, when we choose to follow the ways of God, Hashem and his Torah, we bring the ultimate glory to Hashem. And so it's because he created us with an ability to rebel, when we will overcome all of that and choose with a free choice from within our essence to serve Hashem and to do his Torah. So that is the greatest accomplishment and the greatest glory for God, much greater than listening and following God in his palace. Now, with this we can answer our first question. Had the Torah remained in the hands of the angels, that their entire life experience is equal to just being a spiritual robot? Because when God's presence is revealed, the intensity of that revelation is so great that all angels could do is the will of God. That's why they're considered extensions and emissaries of God. They're not free people that have their own identity and their own plans and their own desires and their own temptations. They are just a spiritual manifestation of the will of God. They're robots. Nothing that they do is real in essence. It doesn't come through hard work and struggle or choice. And so had the Torah stayed in the hands of the angels in this lofty realm of heaven that we're speaking about, it's true that they would never have messed up. But nothing they would have ever have done would have really been done in and of themselves. So they wouldn't have messed up, but they wouldn't have really ever have even done anything that was their own and real. But when human beings do a Torah, it's real, it's emes, it's their accomplishment, because it comes through the struggle and the conquering and overcoming of darkness and all of the negativity that Hashem put within us to conquer. And so had the Torah stayed in the hands of the angels, it would forever have remained trapped and imprisoned in that place, lacking forever any real expression of accomplishment and fulfillment. So that's what it means that the Torah was trapped in heaven, because there was no real fulfillment of it. A robotic, mechanical performance of a script. When actors play a role in a script to make a movie, none of that's real. That's not life. That's not real. That's not accomplishment. That's fake. That's staged. Everything in heaven is almost as if it's staged by God. It's God doing it all in heaven. But on earth, the mitzvah is called on our name. It's our mitzvah. It's our accomplishment. It's our Torah, because it comes through the work and the sacrifice that we give and invest into it. And so we give the Torah the real true kiyum. We give the Torah a real fulfillment. And without it, it would have forever been trapped in heaven with the angels. That's what it means that Moshe had to take that Torah from the angels and free it from the captivity of that high spiritual place that it was, because over there would have never been a real Torah. The mitzvah would have never been real. It would have forever stayed God's mitzvah. But now, on earth, when we do the mitzvah, it becomes our mitzvah that we accomplished together with, of course, Hashem, who's the mitzvah, and it's that partnership where we invested and have accomplished on our own. And it's our mitzvah also. In heaven, it would have been only Hashem's mitzvah, not the angels. Angels don't have a name in that regard. Only we have a name. Okay, so that helps us appreciate this whole approach. And the greatness and the glory of Matan Torah is this opportunity that we can rise above angels in the fulfillment of Torah only the way we can do it here, with the struggle, with the imperfections, with being afraid, with feeling that we haven't accomplished. All of that is part of what we offer Hashem at the end of the day. And what does Hashem say about what we offer Him? Nachat ruach she'amarti ve'asita et retzoni. Asita et retzoni. When the angels do Ratzon Hashem, it's Hashem causing His Ratzon to be manifest. When we do Ratzon Hashem, Hashem says, she'asita, that you did my Ratzon. You physical human beings that could have done anything else, much easier. And you did my Ratzon, that's a Nachat Ruach for me. That is pleasing to me. That makes it all worth it for Hashem. Because it gives Hashem the greatest glory and honor that He could have ever dreamed of. And that's why it says, Ratza HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Dira batachtonim. He wanted dafka this world. And it's very logical. Think about it, and with this we'll conclude. If the higher worlds gave Hashem more than what this world gave him, then why did he make this world? He had a better world already. The idea that God created higher worlds and continued to create worlds lower and lower and lower means that those worlds had to give him something that the higher one wasn't giving him. The fact that he stopped when he got to our world means that he saw that this world will ultimately satisfy him in the complete way that no other world can. And so he was done creating worlds when he got to this world. Because it's what we accomplish that is ole al kulana. It rises above all that he gets from all the worlds. And that's why it says in Shir HaShirim Rabbah that the essential essence of God's presence dwells in this lowest of worlds. Bati ligani lignuni, to my personal, private place that I choose above all other places in the world. This place, earth, together with you and me, with us. It's not coincidence that we read Parshat Bamidbar every year right before Matan Torah. It's Parshat Bamidbar. What's so special about Parshat Bamidbar? So Parshat Bamidbar really is very similar in theme. Hashem left all the heavens and the highest of heavens, everything. He said, I want to be with you even in the desert. And we left society in Egypt and we faithfully followed him, as the verse says in Nach, Zacharti lachesed ne'orayich lechtech acharai bamidbar. We said, Hashem, we love you and we will go anywhere with you. And Hashem said, I love you back. Ani li dodi v'dodi li. And I want to be with only you in the desert. We don't need anything. If it's just us together in the desert. And so the Sefer Bamidbar that begins now, as we are going to speak about Matan Torah, is all about this. Yisrael, Oraita, Bekuchibrichu, Chadhu. Torah, the Jews, and Hashem, it's all one, and it's everything. And that's all we need. Because that's what it was all for.